I, male 30, live with my wife 30. We both work full-time jobs and have 3 kids, a toddler and 2 young grammar school children. I used to work from home with flexible hours, but I've been offered a promotion that requires me to go to work in person. The pay increase is significant, so my wife and I agreed that I should take the promotion and hire a part-time nanny for our kids. I got in touch with a nanny agency and they matched us with someone who lives locally. They only told us her first name, which was a common name anyway, but for the sake of storytelling, we'll say her name's Sarah. I spoke to Sarah on the phone and she seemed really nice. We arranged a day for her to come over and meet my wife and the kids and for us to show her around the house. When the day came around and we met her, it turned out that my wife already knew Sarah. It was really awkward. I was surprised to find out how they knew each other afterward. My wife told me that back when she was in high school, her boyfriend at the time cheated on her with Sarah, who was in her class. She wasn't enthusiastic about it, but my wife didn't seem to have a problem with Sarah being our nanny. Our kids love her, she has lots of experience, and is available when we need her. After a couple of weeks with no issues, my 2 oldest kids came to me and said they didn't want Sarah to come back. I asked them why, and they said she was evil. I asked them why they thought she was evil, and our middle child started crying and said that Sarah was mean and wanted to hurt Mommy. I talked to my wife in private, and at first she said she had no idea what the kids were talking about, and that it must be because of something Sarah did. When I pressed it, my wife admitted that she told the kids that Sarah was evil. She said she knew it was a ridiculous plan, but she was hoping I'd fire her. My wife asked me to fire the nanny because their history makes her uncomfortable. I asked why it wasn't an issue before. My wife said she just needed to think about it, and she's decided Sarah has to go. I told my wife that we could find another nanny, but until then there was no reason to get rid of Sarah, and that she was out of line for trying to weaponize the kids against her when Sarah was no danger to them. My wife disagreed and said we needed to fire Sarah ASAP and hire a temporary babysitter until we could find another nanny. She said that she wasn't weaponizing the kids, she was just setting boundaries. This turned into a really heated argument, and I called my wife insecure and controlling and told her she needed to go to therapy. My wife said I'm being inconsiderate of her feelings and need to put myself in her shoes. This was one of our biggest arguments in a very long time, and I just want a neutral opinion on whether I was wrong. Not the idiot, and her behavior disturbs me. I can't imagine causing my children to fear for their safety or their mother's safety because of my own insecurities from high school. I mean, the manipulation and abusive behavior is disturbing. If the truth is not corrected for those kids, they could end up believing Daddy hired an evil person to get rid of Mommy. I think firing her because of the wife's behavior and issues could lead to legal ramifications, slander and wrongful termination. Yeah, the wife should have said no to begin with. I don't buy the trial period. If it was really about having a change of heart, why go to the trouble of lying to your kids about the nanny in hopes she would be fired? To me, this seems deliberate. She's getting revenge against the girl who cheated with her ex. I bet she hoped her husband wouldn't find out the lie and then give Sarah a bad review. I absolutely agree here. She wanted to hire Sarah just to fire her later to get some petty revenge for a childhood grudge, and she was okay with needlessly frightening her own children to do this. She used her children as tools of manipulation to get what she wanted, all over something that happened in high school. I have legitimate concerns for your children, OP. It was so easy for your wife to use them like she didn't even have to think long or hard about them, and she did it with no remorse, which would lead me to believe this hasn't happened maybe just once or twice before, but is a tactic your wife uses whenever she feels it would help her get her way. Just know, OP, if you get divorced, she will 100% manipulate the kids against you too. I'm 26 male, very close to my cousin Lily, 24 female. We have a lot in common and always hang out. But 3 years ago, Lily was engaged to a man named Josh. Lily was all happy and planned the wedding till she found Josh and my twin sister Rose in bed together. So Lily cut both off and moved out of state. Now my sister and Josh are getting married. I was invited, but I refused to go because of what they did to Lily. My mom told me it was years ago and how Lily moved on. Well, if you count trust issues and therapy, moving on. I told my mom that I didn't care if it was years ago. They betrayed Lily to the point that she moved away. I also told my mom that I was on Lily's side. Now my family is calling me and blowing up my phone to tell me to move on because Rose is my twin sister. She wants me at her wedding since she's my only sister. But am I in the wrong? I know I'm hurting my family. Not the idiot, you didn't hurt your family, your sister did. You're not obligated to go to the wedding because she's your sister. I wish some people in this world would stop pushing the narrative that you have to be part of someone's life just because they're family. OP's family. Stop having morals and ethics, it makes our lack of them very, very obvious, and your standing up for them makes us look bad. Our looking bad is, therefore, your fault. You are not the idiot and you know it. Thank you for being seemingly the only decent person in your family, besides Lily. Yeah, years from now they'll get over you not attending the wedding. It seems a lesser crime than adultery. I love when people try to dismiss others' trauma by saying, it was years ago. Like, no, sorry, your sister destroyed someone else's life and gave them lifelong trust issues. Just because it happened a while ago doesn't automatically mean people should have to forgive and move on. Just because sister is all happy and content now doesn't erase her behaviour nor the consequences of her behaviour. No amount of family forgetfulness is going to heal that wrong. If it was me, I'd wear all black to the wedding, including a lace face covering, rip it off and object to the wedding when the minister asks, then throw red wine at the bride's dress. Okay, maybe I wouldn't be that extra, I'm kind of a wimp. But anyone who asks you to go should have to hear your plans to destroy the wedding. Start making a list of more and more elaborate plans and give them the ever-growing options each time someone asks. Maybe they'll finally get the hint. I'm sure your cousin appreciates that at least one person from her family is on her side. This marriage won't last anyway, neither of them has any morals or sense of loyalty. Tell your mom you'll catch her next wedding. If they will cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. Heard this about my former brother-in-law when he cheated on my sister. He married a fair partner, even brought her to a divorce hearing, because they were in love. Yep, he cheated on his new wife, she cheated to get even, and they're as happy as you'd imagine. This is my wish for Rose and Josh. I have a bit of a dilemma. My 27 female grandmother died 4 years ago. When she got engaged to my grandfather, he gave her a 21-carat gold ring with diamonds and a ruby in the centre. That ring was eventually passed to my dad when he prepared to propose to my mom. As far as I know, she never took the ring off and the ring was returned to my dad when my mum passed. Recently, my partner and I of 3 years have been talking about getting engaged. I asked my dad about the ring and he agreed if I ever got engaged I would inherit the ring. Well, last night I told my boyfriend about the ring and how it was passed on. He said his daughter, Tween, who is from a previous relationship, would love to inherit it eventually. I explained that she wouldn't be getting the ring since she's not my bio daughter and that if my baby wants it when she's older, she will inherit it. This caused a massive argument in which my partner called me a witch and said I was treating his daughter differently because she's not blood. Things might be different if I actually had a relationship with her, but I don't. I've only met her once in person and honestly don't know her that well. She has no attachment to the ring, but my daughter will since it'll be her grandmother's and great-grandmother's ring. I made a point of saying to him, if he proposed to me with it, I'd return it to my dad for safekeeping. So, am I the idiot? So, you're going to marry someone who called you a witch? Pay attention, OP. I've been married for longer than you've been alive, and my husband has never once called me a witch, even during our worst arguments. Run. She won't run. She's going to marry someone she's been with for 3 years but has only met his child once, even though they have a child together. Neither one of them are ready for marriage. This is a mistake. This relationship has red flags all over it. Really, OP? How have you been with someone for 3 years and met his daughter once? Are you saying he and you have no relationship with his daughter and he thinks she should inherit your mother's ring? That's delusional. The ring is yours. You don't owe him a damn thing. And why did you sit there and let him call you names? Even if you had a relationship with his daughter, she's not entitled to that ring. If it was me, that conversation with my boyfriend would be the last one we ever had. Seriously? He thinks that his daughter, who he apparently doesn't even raise, has any right to it? It would be your ring regardless. Don't give it to him to propose to you. If it remains yours 100% unattached, then he can't dictate who receives it or when. I'm not even sure you should get close to that point if he's calling you names over this. I promise you that marrying this man will be one of your biggest regrets. My brother Don has an African grey parrot. He fell in love with our uncle's parrot when we were young. He always wanted one, and when he got a job where he could take care of one, he got it. Don was neurodivergent. He had trouble connecting with people, but he loved that bird, and it seemed to return the affection. Don didn't like to travel or leave his home, or do much besides work, play video games, collect Pokemon stuff and interact with his parrot. On the other hand, I try to get out of town whenever I can. I also use every second of my vacation time and paid time off. Don passed away just after New Year's. He didn't have a girlfriend, much less a wife. He did have a will, and he left me everything, including Ash, his parrot. I don't want his parrot. Trust me, after listening to my brother talk about African grey parrots for the last 20 years, I know more about them than anyone normally should, including that they can live up to 60 years. That would have been great for Don. I, on the other hand, am not planning on taking care of any human children for 60 years. I talked to my parents to see if they would take him. They said their condo doesn't allow pets. I checked with the rest of our family and nobody wanted to commit. I contacted a local bird rescue, but they only take wild raptors. I tried the zoo. They do not accept birds. I guess there is a chance of diseases or something. My brother loved this bird, so I wasn't going to do anything stupid with it. Ash was actually growing on me. I was considering keeping him. Lucky for Ash and me, my uncle finally got back to me. His parrot died a couple of years ago, and since he's in his late 40s, he didn't adopt a new one. I gladly invited him over to see if he liked Ash. He told me that he and his old bird had met Ash, and even been over to Don's house for a play date before. It was excellent. My uncle knows more about them than my brother did, and now I have that information stuck in my head. Ash went to live with my uncle. I thought it was the perfect solution. Until my mom called me to chew me out for imposing a bird on my uncle. He doesn't make that much money, and birds are expensive to take care of, I guess. Not that it was any of her business, but my brother left me a nice chunk of change, and an impressive collection of Pokemon stuff. I'd already told my uncle that I would be paying for food and vet bills for Ash. I even volunteered to birdsit him if my uncle needed and I was in town. I know Don would want that. She still said giving her brother the bird was a bad decision. I probably didn't improve our conversation by giggling when she said that. I honestly think I did right by everyone involved, but my mom disagrees. I need someone with no skin in the game to tell me if I'm missing something. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You found Ash a loving home with an experienced person. You might have slipped into the idiot territory if you hadn't volunteered to cover the expenses for the bird. Your brother would love to know that the person who inspired his love of that species was the person you entrusted to care for his Ash. I also snorted when you gave your uncle the bird. Is the uncle an independent human of reasonable intelligence? Is the uncle knowledgeable, seriously, and extensively experienced in caring for a bird like this? Did a solution that no one else in the family has or offer help keep the pet in the family? What else is there for your mother to complain about? OP, your mom is the idiot. She just stuck her ungrateful nose into this situation. And it was insanely nice of you to give the uncle a very expensive bird and then pay for everything. And you in no way would be an idiot for not offering to do that when someone agreed to take the pet. Grief makes people say or do odd things. I think the mom meant well but may not understand that a bird is better off with someone who truly wants it as part of their life. It seems like she might be sentimentally angry, like angry that you're giving away a piece of your brother and her son. Of course, it's not rational, but grief rarely is. I have a tween daughter with my ex-husband. After our divorce, his sister moved in to help him raise our daughter. My ex-sister-in-law and I never got along. She can't have any kids, and she was always jealous of me because she loves kids. Now she acts as if she's my daughter's mom. When my daughter was younger, she called her mom for a while, but I corrected her and taught her to say aunt instead. Last night, my daughter came out of her room in the middle of the night and asked for her iPad. We take it away at night to make sure she doesn't play with it instead of sleeping. I asked why, and she said she had a bad dream and wanted to talk to her mom. I was devastated. I told her I was her mom and I would help her to go to sleep, but she insisted on talking to her aunt, so we allowed it. I didn't say anything to my daughter, but this morning I called my ex-sister-in-law and told her she needs to stop acting like my daughter's mom. She is not her mom. I am. I said if she tries to do this again, I'll take them to court and get more custody because I think they're alienating my child. She called me an idiot and a jealous witch for trying to ruin their relationship and basically implied that I couldn't do anything about it and she was not going to change things. Am I the idiot for trying to change things? Edit. I get her every other weekend and her dad gets her the rest of the time. This custody arrangement has been for the past 9 years. I chose a custody agreement that was better for her and I tried to spend as much time with her as I could. I think we have a pretty good relationship, but I bet it could be better if my ex-sister-in-law stopped acting like her mom. I try to at least have a few free hours to spend with her, but it's never enough for her. I'm sick of the "my auntie is a better mom, she would play with me" comments. Her aunt is a stay-at-home mom and nanny, so she has a lot of free time, but I don't. Children don't call their nannies mom. What else am I supposed to do? Definitely not the idiot. Go to court. Under no circumstance should another woman lead a child to think she's her mom. This woman seems mentally unwell to allow your daughter to call her mom. Serious question, would the courts actually intervene in something like what the kid calls her aunt? Like, how would they enforce that? This is messy and not good for the child. On the other hand, the child trusts the aunt/mom and sees them as a mom. On the other hand, it could be considered alienation. What is best for the child? OP has a daughter every other weekend while the father has primary custody. Aunt is the primary caretaker and primary mother figure in this girl's life. It sounds like the kid is closer to her aunt than OP and prefers her aunt to be her mother figure. Just because OP gave birth doesn't mean she's a good mother. For all we know, she wasn't in her daughter's life all that much and is just jealous that another woman has stepped up as a proper mother figure. OP only sees her daughter 4 days a month, and she doesn't want to fight for custody, but her jealousy over another woman taking better care of her daughter suddenly makes her want to fight for custody. I don't think OP is faultless here. I feel like if OP were a man, we'd be calling her a deadbeat for only spending a few hours every other week with their kid and saying it's the best they can do. You are the idiot, OP, an absentee idiot.